Good morning, dear children. How are you all? I hope you all are fine and safe at home and take good care of your health. Dear children, today we are going to start lesson number 9, that is the Subject-Verb Agreement. The name of the chapter is Subject-Verb Agreement. Today we are going to talk about this topic. Before starting this topic in detail, first of all, we should know what is a subject, what is a verb, and what is the meaning of agreement. Subject. About what we speak in a sentence is called a subject. Verb. Verb is a word which expresses the action, state of being, or the possession. Agreement. What is the meaning of agreement? Agreement means agreeing two elements in a sentence. When two elements in a sentence, two parts of the sentence agree with each other, that is called agreement. Now, let us see this example. Rohan plays cricket. What is the subject in this sentence? We should know how to find out the subject in a sentence. We used to ask a question: who plays? Who is performing the action of playing? We get the answer Rohan. Rohan is performing the action of playing. So we say Rohan is the subject. About Rohan we are talking in this sentence. Rohan is performing the action. So Rohan is the subject. Now how do we come to know about the verb? We ask question, who performs the action? We came to know that is subject. Rohan is doing what? What is he doing? He is playing. Action of playing is performed by the Rohan. So plays is a verb in this sentence. And agreement. Today we are going to study about subject verb agreement. What this is? What is this? It is the idea that you want your subject and your verb to get along in a sentence. Your subject and verb should get along in a sentence. Now in detail we'll study about what is agreement. First of all, we should understand the term agreement properly. What agreement is in grammar is the art of making sure that sentence parts connect with one another in a right way. The parts of the sentence, different elements in the sentence should be connected with each other in a right way. That is called the agreement. When different elements or different parts in a sentence are connected with each other in a right way, that means there is proper agreement. Now here we are going to study about subject-verb agreement. When subject agrees with its verb, we'll see. In a simple way we say, if the verb is in singular, if the subject is singular, we use the singular verb. If the subject is plural, we use the plural verb. So likewise, according to the subject, when we use the verb, we say there is agreement between the subject and the verb. If verb is not used, we do not use the proper form of the verb according to the subject, it means there is no agreement between the subject and the verb, and there will be grammatical mistakes. So in this chapter we are going to study how to bring agreement between the subject and the verb. Dear children, you can see your book page number 69. The important points, remember the small boxes given. In that you can see the first point. The number and person of the subject determine the form of the verb to be used in a sentence. The number and person of the subject. What is the number and what is the person? We should know first of all. Number means whether the subject is in singular form, singular or plural. Whether the subject is singular or plural. And person means first person, second person, or the third person. Singular and plural means if the subject is one, we say it is singular in number. If it is, we are talking about more than one thing or more than one person, we say the subject is in plural number. And person, the first person means, the first person denotes the speaker. First person means who is speaking. First person denotes the speaker. Second person denotes the person spoken to, whom we are talking, to whom we are talking. The second person is the person spoken to. And the third person is, the third person denotes the thing or person spoken of or about whom we are talking. First person denotes to the speaker, person who is speaking, speaker. Second person denotes the person spoken to, and third person denotes the person or thing spoken of or spoken about. So this is the number and person. The number and person, and the sentence we studied the first point. The number and person of the subject determine the form of the verb to be used in a sentence. According to the number and person of the subject, we use the correct form of the verb in a sentence. Second one is the number, person and gender of noun also play an important role in the selection of personal pronouns in the sentence. Number, person, and one more thing we studied, the gender. Gender means whether it is masculine, feminine, common or neuter. Gender. These three terms, number, person and gender of noun, also play an important role in the selection of personal pronouns. Personal pronouns we select as per the number, person and the gender of the subject. This condition that determines the selection of different words in a sentence is called agreement. This condition that determines the selection, the condition which decides the selection of the different words is called the agreement. Now, let us see some examples. Dear children, you can see two examples on the board. The first one is, one of the girls in our class is very talented. First of all, we should know what is the subject. We should find out about what we are talking. We are talking in this sentence about one of the girls. Don't get confused. Girls is in plural. We are talking about one girl. Out of many, we are talking about one girl. So, the subject is singular in number. One of the girls in our class. We studied that according to the number and person of the subject, we use the correct form of the verb. And this is what called the agreement. So, here the subject is singular. Singular subject. And what is the verb? The verb is. Is the verb. And what kind of verb it is? It is the form of be verb we studied. Already we studied the action verbs and verbs of being. So, it is the be verb. It is the form of be verb, and that is also singular in number. The verb is also singular. So, dear children, when the subject is singular, we use the singular verb. Always remember, when the subject is singular, we use singular verb, and when the subject is plural, we use plural verb. You can see the next example. The students admire her. What is the subject? The subject is the students. What kind of? It is plural in number. The subject is plural in number. It is the subject and it is plural in number. Now, what is the verb? Admire is a verb. And dear children, in present tense, the verbs of action, when in plural form, they do not carry s with them. We use base form of the verb. Base form of the verb stands with plural subject. That means this verb is also plural in number. Plural in number. Dear children, if I write one more example here on the board, the student admires her. The student admires her. Here you can see S is not used, and here you can see S is used. Why? Because when the subject is plural, we use the plural form of the verb. And in simple present tense, we do not carry S with it. We use base form of the verb, and that is the plural form. And when we talk about the singular subject, we add S with the verb. Now this is the, and adding S here doesn't mean it is plural in number. It is also singular in number, and the subject is also singular in number. So dear children, always remember, in present tense, action verbs, when the subject is plural, we do not add S with it. We use the base form of the verb, and when the subject is singular in number, we add S or ES form with the verb, and it is the singular, it indicates the singular number. The verb is in singular form. Dear children, you can see here the pronoun her is used. We studied that the number, the person and the gender also play an important role in the selection of personal pronouns. We use personal pronouns according to the number and gender. The students admire her, maybe talking about any female, any lady we are talking about, singular in number. So, the pronoun her is used because she is female, she is singular in number. So the pronoun her is used here. Dear children, come on page number 70. Again we can see some important points about the subject-verb agreement. There must be an agreement between the verb and the subject in terms of number and person. Already I explained you what is number and what is person. If the subject is singular in number, the verb should also be singular in number. For example, you can see here Susan is playing football. Susan is the subject, singular in number, so the singular verb is used, that is. Susan is playing football. The next point is, if the subject is plural in number, its verb should also be plural in number. If the subject is plural, the verb also should be plural in number. Let us see the example here. My parents are celebrating their golden wedding anniversary. Here parents, my parents. Parents is plural subject. So the verb are is used here. The plural form of the verb are is used here. Is, am, are, these all are the different forms of the verb be that we know. And these different forms of the verb, so we always use according to the subject. If subject is singular, we use is. If subject is plural, we use are. And if subject is I, we always use am. Next point is, the form of the verb also needs to be modified according to the person of the subject. According to the person, we should use the verb according to the number and person. We can see here examples. Sakshi is playing in the garden. Ravi and Rajat are working on a project. Shalu and I are baking a pie tomorrow. And here we can see all these verbs is and are agreeing with its subject in person and number. Let us see some more important points here to remember on page number 70. Main verbs in the simple present tense take an S or ES ending when the subject is in the third person singular. When the subject is third person singular, I told you with singular subject, when the subject is singular in number, we use S or ES form of the verb. Already I explained you with that example. The students admire her. The student admires her. So let us see one more example. He loves to paint pictures. What is the subject in this sentence? Can you recognize, dear children? Yes, he is the subject. And what is the verb? What action he is performing? Action of loving. Love is the verb. And here we can see it is singular in number. We are talking about singular subject. And what person it is? He. It is third person. Third person means it denotes the person or thing being spoken of or about. He is here. Somebody is talking about about him. He is here. It is the third person because this subject is being spoken of or about. So, as it is singular in number and third person, it indicates the third person, we use S or ES form of the verb. So, here we are using S, adding S with the main verb, it becomes loves. He loves to paint pictures. And dear children, if we change the subject, let's see. If they love to paint pictures. What is the subject in this sentence? They is the subject. What is the subject? They. What kind of subject it is? It is plural in number. We are talking about more than one person. Clear? They means many. They. Here we can see which form of the verb is used. Here the plural form of verb. They also remain in their base form when the subject is in plural. When the subject is plural, the verb remains in its base form. Dear children, here they is plural in number and it is third person pronoun. So the verb is used in its base form. Always remember, in simple present tense, when the subject is singular, we add s or es with the verb. And when the subject is plural in number, we do not add s or es, but we use the verb in its base form. The third point is auxiliary verbs such as be type and have possess different forms for different number and person. Be type verbs, what are they? Is, am, are, was, were. These are the be type verbs. And have, has, had. These are the different forms of have verbs. Do verbs. Do, does, did. These are the different forms of do verbs. And these all are auxiliary verbs. All these are helping verbs or the auxiliary verbs, and they possess different forms for different number and person. Dear children, here you can see on the board one table is given, and through this table you will learn different forms of auxiliary verbs. Different forms of auxiliary verbs, which form we should use in present tense and which form we should use in past tense. Now in this table we are going to discuss about the forms of be verbs. What we are going to discuss about the forms of be verbs. Pronouns, we know pronouns stand in first person, second person, third person. Personal pronouns are first person, second person and third person. Here you can see I. I is first person singular. I is first person singular pronoun, and with I in present tense we always use am, and with I in past tense we use was. You, second person pronoun is you. And dear children, we know that the pronoun you we use for singular as well as for plural both. And for both the verbs, whether it is used as singular or plural, we always use the verb are, the form of be verb, that is are with you. And in the past we use were. And the third person pronouns are she, he, it or any singular subject. She, he, it or any singular subject. We use is in present tense and was in past tense. And the same way you can see first person pronoun we. We indicates the plural number. So we use are in present and were in past tense. Second person pronoun you. When we use you to indicate the plural number, we use are in present tense and were in past tense. And the third person pronouns they or any plural subject, we use are in present and were in past tense. Dear children, let us now see the form of have verb. Different forms of have verb according to the person and number. Dear children, if the pronoun I is the first person, singular in number, we use have. With I we always use have. I and you. With these two pronouns, we use have in present tense and had in the past tense. And when the subject is singular and we use the pronoun she, he, it, or any singular subject, we use has. We use has, and in the past tense we use had. Had is used for all the verbs, all the subjects, all the pronouns in past tense. And when the subject is we, that is first person plural subject, we use have with it. With you also and they or any plural subject, we use have in present tense, and with all these pronouns we, you, they and any plural subject, we use had in the past tense. Dear children, now let us see the forms of do verbs. Do is also auxiliary verbs and it is also having different forms. Let us study the different forms of do verbs. These are in first person singular in number. If we use the pronoun I or you, with both the pronouns we use do in present tense and did in past tense. When the subject is she, he, it or any singular subject, we use does in present tense and did in past tense. When the subject is we, it is first person plural in number. First person plural in number, and you is also, you is second person plural in number, and they or any plural subject is third person plural in number. We use do in present tense and did in past tense. Dear children, this table is very, very important for you. You have to learn this table thoroughly, then only you can use the correct forms of verbs according to your subject, and then only there will be a proper subject and verb agreement. If you will not learn this table properly, you will surely make grammatical mistakes. And to avoid all those grammatical mistakes, you should learn these different forms of the verbs. I hope you understood this much. Dear children, revise this chapter at home and write the definition of agreement in your copy. Thank you.